Hey guys, today I kind of wanted to talk about some of the foundations that I've been trying the past month or two. I'm doing a lot of foundation reviews lately. I feel like a lot have been coming out, so I kind of want to do a roundup, which ones that I'm still using, which ones I'm not really using, and why. Okay, just to give you an idea of how all of these look shade-wise, these are going to be all the ones I'm going to be talking about. This is the Nars Natural Longwear Foundation in the shade Gobi. This is the Physicians Formula The Healthy Foundation in LW2. This is the Cover FX Power Play Foundation in G10. This is the Burt's Bees Goodness Glows Foundation in 1005 Porcelain. Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Wear Foundation in 090. Essence Fresh and Fit Awake Foundation in 10 Ivory. Sunday Riley, the Influencer Foundation in shade 100. This one here is the Milani Conceal and Perfect in 00. Before I start going into the foundations that I have, I just wanted to let you know that there were two foundations that I returned because I really did not like them. One was the Marc Shameless foundation that came out. If you watch my review, you know that I really disliked that, and I even gave it a few more tries, and I still really didn't like it. And the other one was the Bobbi Brown Skin Longwear foundation that came out more recently, and even though that one looked pretty good on, the scent really annoyed me, and it also stayed sticky on my skin all day long, so those two went right back to Sephora. So this is the new-ish Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation, and I got the shade Gobi. This foundation is still in my routine, but I don't often wear it on its own. If you want to see how this looks on my skin, you can go watch my full first impressions wear test of this. The first time I tried it, I really hated it. I felt like it actually really clung to my dry patches and just kind of any texture that I had on my skin. The way that I use it still is just adding a tiny little pump to any other foundation that I might be using that day, because I really like the coverage that this gives. But just adding a little bit of this adds that kind of olive yellow undertone that I need, and adds a little bit of coverage to another foundation that I might want to be using without, giving me the texture problems that this does when it's solely on its own. I think the next one that I tried after that was the Cover FX Power Play Foundation, also a newer foundation, and I have the shade G10. This is finicky for me. I really liked it in my first impressions video. Again, you can go watch that. But it's just interesting because it's some days it works really well for me and some days it really does not work at all. I think it kind of just depends on my skin, probably. I feel like if I'm having a drier or more textured skin day, this doesn't really work for me. But if my skin is, really smooth, or maybe I exfoliated the night before, then I find this works really well. This is also one that you can't really build. It does give decent coverage, I would say a high medium coverage, but it doesn't work well building whatsoever. Okay, then I tried this Physicians Formula The Healthy Foundation, and this is one of my favorites out of all of the ones that I've tried recently. So this one I first picked up in the shade LC1. I found the undertone was a little bit too cool toned for me, so I ended up picking up LW2, and even though this is a tad too dark, I find the undertone suits me better, so just overall it's a better match for me. I just love it. It's one of those foundations that even though it doesn't control my oils, it really looks good throughout the day. It doesn't separate or ball up or just do anything crazy once my skin does start getting shiny. It just stays on really nice. So I would recommend this for pretty much any skin type, unless you are super oily and you really need something that's going to control your oils. This one, doesn't really control the oils, but like I said, it doesn't look terrible once I do get shiny. So I've actually been using this quite a lot. This next one is the Burt's Bees Goodness Glows Foundation. I have the shade 1005 Porcelain. I find it is similar in coverage to the Nars foundation that I mentioned, but this one is more moisturizing, more glowy. I actually think it has a little bit of shimmer in it, which is kind of interesting. This one doesn't really hold up that well on oily skin, but I think if you have dry skin, you would really like it. For that reason, I don't really use this anymore. I mean, again, I like the coverage, but it's too glowy, it's too hydrating for my skin. I need something that's gonna stay a little bit longer. So I'll probably be gifting this to one of my dry skinned friends. This is the Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Wear Foundation. This is very, very popular. I have the shade 090 Ivory Neutral. This is actually on my face today mixed with something else, which I'll mention later on. This is a very smoothing and mattifying foundation. I mean, I still get shiny at the end of like a work day, but it does control my oil decently. Not as great as Estee Lauder Double Wear, but still good. And this one is a little bit more natural looking on the skin versus Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is still in my rotation of foundations. I do usually mix it with something because one, this shade is like a tiny bit fair and a little bit too neutral for me. I guess that's pretty much it. That's the only reason I don't wear it really by itself, because it is beautiful. Okay, this foundation, lost the top. This was the Essence Fresh and Fit Awake Makeup Healthy Glow, I guess. This is an extremely cheap foundation. Essence is a very affordable brand. I really liked this. It did not control oil, and it also is not like super long wearing, but it looked beautiful. It was such a natural glow that just evened everything out. Like, very good for short-term wear, especially if you have oily skin like me. This reminded me a lot of the Healthy Glow foundation from Physicians Formula, except for I think this Healthy Glow one had a little bit more coverage, whereas this one was definitely more of a sheer coverage. It looked so good on my nose. It looked literally just like skin, honestly. So I think this is probably best for people with like a normal to drier skin, but like you saw in my review of this, it didn't separate and it didn't go super gross other than wearing off in a couple places after a long day of wear on my oily skin. This is more of a recent one. I tried it 3 times. Yes, I've tried it 3 times now. And I have it on today mixed with the Lancome foundation that I mentioned. This is a really great combination. I think my skin looks really, really nice. This is in the shade 100, which is very golden. It's not super yellow, but it's kind of like a mix between a yellow and like a peachy undertone. This one is decent. I don't love it, but I like it and I'm intrigued by it, and I want to keep using it. I would say somewhere between a light to medium coverage, you know, closer to the medium side of things. It is very creamy, so I find that it doesn't dry down very fast and it actually transfers for quite a long time after you apply it. And it actually wears a lot better than I thought it would. I thought because it was so creamy and hydrating and the whole transfer factor, I thought that this was not going to last really at all, and it actually did pretty well. So I think this is worth the try, and I think any skin type other than super oily would like it. On my kind of like, I wouldn't say I'm a total grease machine, but I am like fairly oily, and I can get away with it, especially if I'm blotting through the day. It looks nice. It looks nice. The Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation. I have the shade 00 Light Natural, and I know that there are a couple shades lighter than this. I just can't get my hands on them. They're not sold anywhere near me, and even to order it online was pretty intense shipping. Yeah, this was interesting. I liked it. It reminded me a lot of the Stila Stay All Day foundation. So if you've tried that and you kind of understand like that texture that I'm talking about, this is very similar. I've only used this once since that first impression video. I think because the color throws me off so much. It's so orange and it oxidizes pretty badly, but it looked really nice, and it is something that I think that I will use kind of on the center of my face to kind of help control the oil, and it looked really smooth. Like, this was a beautiful looking foundation. The actual finish of this was thin, but coverage and smoothing, and I mean, it was great. I just wish that, you know, the color was a little better. Okay, I think that about rounds it up. I feel like I probably said this, but just to like hit it home, the ones that I really am using the most out of these, or I can see myself really using the most, are the Healthy Foundation by Physicians Formula, this Lancome foundation. The other ones, you know, are kind of really not for me, or I can kind of just get away with them in certain circumstances, like, you know, mixing them in with something or just using them on a day where I don't need it to last. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you do. You can always subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and hit the notification bell if you want me to for sure show up in your subscription feed. I know YouTube has this problem. They always seem to have a problem. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye. Thank you.